It's live. It's exactly what happens on the doors. And anyway, hit it.
We got a cameo from Matt De Hoyos, just FYI.
Oh, really?
Freddie, weren't you going to fast forward it to the part I wanted, though?
I just want to just show this beginning part because I think it's important just to kind of see. And I'll forward it. I know where to go.
Cool.
We'll be quick.
What's up, man?
I'm Sam. You a Manchester fan?
Yeah.
You been watching the Cup, mate,
Oh,
lately?
of course.
Oh, who's your team, though, like, World Cup-wise?
Well, since USA's not in it,
I know.
of course. Gotta say Belgium.
Belgium.
I just like that he never
Dude,
really
they've been
introduced
doing pretty
himself.
good.
He just went
And
right
you know
into
who
talking,
watches?
building common ground.
Dude, that game the other day was.
Here's the next spot. Here we go.
So I'll show you. Is it cool if I show you kind of real quick on
I
here?
wouldn't know.
You do it. You let us in.
Yeah,
She will go after
yeah, she'll
us.
come out.
Okay, cool. Is it cool if you put it up real quick?
No, I was actually
So
doing
pause it real quick, Freddie.
it's sales pitch, but
Yep.
So, guys, I'm just going to get you guys to where we're at right now because obviously we can't show you everything. But this client was basically jiving with Sam the entire time. It looked like the sale was going to happen. And all of a sudden, this guy does a 180 on him and is like, no, dude, I don't want your shit, basically, right?
Yeah.
And he blasts him with tons of objections. And I personally would have walked the hell away a long time ago. But this just shows how good Sam is. And the beauty about what we're going to do is that right now it's just the raw footage we're editing. As when you hear Sam handle these objections, we're going to cut to him explaining what he's actually doing in the green room.
Yep.
So for you guys to really get it. So it's sort of the practical and the theory at the same time going on. And again, all this is going to be on Skyline University. This is what we did all week when we went down to Texas.
Dan
So go ahead, Freddie.
Here we go.
yeah, I ain't buying it.
No, you don't need to, like, buy it.
No, you're good, man. I appreciate it, but I've already back up.
So if you look, and it sounds like you've done some things to, like, outfit it, like the steel doors and stuff. But the biggest problem is actually this. If you look at this, they make this out of like a softwood. It's like a white pine.
Yeah.
So it's typically this little piece that breaks that's more than the door.
Wait.
So when they kick it in, this, like, it's built so firemen, if they need to get in, they can get in and save the dog and stuff like that. So this actually breaks. So what we do is we put a little sensor right here. So it's like a magnetic little dot, and then another one that goes on this side. So when those two connections break, obviously when the system's armed or whatever, it's going to set off a loud siren. Woo! It's going to let the neighborhood watch next door know, and obviously call you and the police. Because if somebody was in your house and you weren't here, you'd want to know about it. If you're here, you take care of business, right? Like, but at the end of the day, like, you can't do much when you're not home. I mean, they give the dog a piece of meat and then they're in, right?
Yeah.
So what we do is we put the little panel. It's all touchscreen. We put that right here. Do you have like an outlet right here?
No.
Is there one on this wall?
Yeah.
Okay, so we probably put it on the wall. It has to go kind of by an outlet. The wire goes behind the wall so you don't see any wires and stuff like that. And then as far as like the main points as far as windows, like where do you think as far as windows most people would come in? You know what I mean? If they're like break a window or pry one open, back, front of the home. Any window. They're all pretty low. Like some people are like, man, this one's way too high. But so I kind of show you. Is it cool if we step in real quick? I'll kind of show you how it works. No?
No, I'm good, man.
If you put the dog, is it mainly just the dog? Like,
No, I just don't want it.
you don't need to like
No,
buy
I
it.
appreciate it, but no, I'm not doing it.
Is it just mainly the money and stuff?
No, I just don't want it. Like,
Have you ever had
straight
one?
up.
Have you had one in the past or?
Yeah, I've got one at my parents' house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what was the main thing you liked about it or disliked about it? Like,
I mean, it was a security system. There wasn't anything wrong with it. I just don't need it.
just in case, yeah. No, and hopefully, knock on wood, I hope you never do need it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, she never thought she needed one. She never, you know what I mean? Like, these guys, before they got broken into, never thought they needed one. No one has those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for us, it's like there's always a dollar and cents thing to it. You know what I mean? As long as we can make the money make sense, which the best part, like I said, we ask you a series of 3 questions to see if you're a good fit. And as long as you're a good fit, we have 3 simple requirements. And if you can kind of abide by these, like I said, we pay for it. So we pay for your equipment, your install, your warranties. Like, and the reason we're doing that, like we just did with them, that's our tech, right? Installing, is because we want to help you out with like the cost so that you can help us with word of mouth.
Yeah.
And being somebody that has had this
How
home,
much is y'all's monthly fee?
so it all depends on what you want. The good part is super cheap. Like we have like super cheap options to like expensive.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like, let's just start basic and then you're just going to add on what you like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing. Is like if the monthly is too expensive, like then you're like sitting there feeling bad about it every month. And then it's like, then it's a lose-lose. We want to basically make it a win-win. So you're telling people about it. That's how we get most of our business.
Yeah.
So I kind of walk you through it. So we give you the panel. It's like normally, these are the costs if you're to call in and buy it. You can always call Brinks. They're like the ones with the armored trucks. They've got numbers and stuff. It's all touchscreen. I'll kind of show you. Basically, you have like this. It's sick. It's actually like the. Yeah, is it this one? This will work. So check this out. We give you the upgraded panel. It's like freaking iPad on your wall. It's dope. And it talks to you. It actually has a glass break sensor, so if somebody would break these glasses in here. Yeah, so then it like detecting you that. Say they try to shatter this, that, stuff like that. And then a lot of people have like this doorbell cam. Is this still working?
Barely.
Barely? But it's still got electrical to it.
Yeah, it still works.
So we swap it up for this. So when somebody comes up onto your premises, it'll pick up like if they're messing with your truck, if they're messing with your house, stuff like that. Because like, you know, you'd want to know about it. If they jack your truck, it gets it all on film. So it records motion, it records, you know, if they press, you can actually talk to them. So let's say you're working, homeboy comes to your house, he's like, hey, what are you doing? And you just like talk to him. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. So we, you know, there's some cool things we kind of customize. So like a lot of people have liked, have you seen these keyless entries? Dude, this is dope.
I don't think the neighbors have that one.
It's like where you can
like
come in,
panel.
the touch panel for your door.
Yeah.
Where's the lock on here? I didn't put it on this one. So it's like a keyless little thing right here, the door lock.
Yeah.
And you can just go doo doo doo, and it unlocks your door. So that way you don't have to worry about keys. Do you have people that come and feed the dog ever? No. Okay. No. So I just kind of show you real quick. I know you're super busy. We'll be quick. Is it cool if we show you on the door real quick, or like just right here where the panel go?
I'd rather not. I just need the numbers basically.
Okay. We can do it out here. Do you want us to do it out here?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Blocker.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's just do it here.
Pretty busy stuff. Oh, I mean, no. I mean, she's just like.
All right, let's pause it.
I feel it. Yeah.
That's her whole thing.
Good to go.
Now, again, Klein did a complete 180 on him because you guys missed the first 10 minutes. They were like best friends. Klein does a complete 180. Then Sam makes him go again 180 and gets him out of his house. What you're not going to see is all the good stuff that happens, but he goes from that to now the client asking a bunch of buying questions, and then Sam ends up getting the deal. Unfortunately, the guy didn't pass credit, but obviously we got this entire 30 minutes of it. And again, we're going to break everything that he did there. Again, I would say 90% of the people would have, including myself, would have probably walked away when the guy was just like, nope, I'm not interested. Nope, I'm not interested. And Sam, those were all just smoke screens. And again, this is what we're taking Skyline University to. We want to show you guys this stuff because I know we've been talking about it, but as many of you know, I don't like talking about stuff. I like showing stuff. That way you don't, it's not this sales pitch I'm giving you guys and how we're going to get there. I'm already showing you with the things that we're doing to get there. So anyway, obviously we can't show you the whole thing because of time, but hopefully you guys are excited about it. Freddie, I think you have some questions there. I don't know if you want to answer them real quick.
Yeah, let's go. Here we go. Dude, we need a picture of the door locks in the brochure. We do need a picture of the brochure. Dang it. Let's do that.
I haven't seen the brochure, but we'll look at it. Let's do that. Good point.
Brochure locks done. There we go.
All right. So guys, I want to touch on a couple other things, which Freddie mentioned it earlier. We want to give you the best sales organization operations that we can give you, right? So we can give you the best service. However, in order to do that, we need to average at least 50 installs a day. Sorry, 50 installs a day. That means we have to be consistent with our sales. We can't keep doing this because if we keep doing this, then what happens is we got to start lowering overhead. And when we lower overhead, then we don't have the best of the best anymore. So when you guys decide to finally go work, you come back to work and now you're complaining about the operations. Well, we didn't tell you to take 2 months off or 3 weeks off or 4 weeks off. Now we don't have the same personnel. So if you want to have the best sales organization possible, you got to look at this job like a full-time job. And I think many of you on this call, this is your full-time job. And really, you shouldn't be taking more than 2 days off. You shouldn't be taking more than 1 day off if you don't have at least $100,000 saved, which I know many of you don't. So again, we're going to get into now, Freddie, were you going to talk about something else, or can I get into what I was going to talk about?
Do your thing. Go, go, go.
All right. So let me just check the time. All right, guys. So I hope you got your pens and paper ready, because this stuff is huge.
I don't know if Edwin is super excited about this. He keeps moving around. He is super excited about this, guys. So make sure you pay attention.
So anyway, we've always talked about the first step of being successful and having everything you've always wanted in life has to do with you declaring it, believing it, and having big dreams, right? We're supposed to have big dreams, right? That's number one. If you don't think you're good enough to deserve something, you are never going to get it, right? So now I'm going to break down pretty much the science of that whole thing, how it works, right? So we have our conscious mind, right? And the conscious mind, it gets it sees a bunch of things on a daily basis, and it gets data thrown at it from all of your 5 senses, right? That's your conscious mind. So it can't see everything because it's too much. So that is where, when your subconscious mind takes over, right? And your subconscious mind has a part of the mind that's called a reticular. If you guys want to write this down, it's spelled R-E-T-U-C-U-L-A-R. It's a reticular brain, otherwise known as the reticular activating system. Now, this part of your brain is in your subconscious mind. And what this part of the brain does, it filters all the data that you're getting. So this part of the mind actually sees everything that you get, all the data that's fed to you by all of your 5 senses. This part of your brain sees all of it. Now, it intentionally does not send it back to your conscious mind, right? Because its job is to filter it. The reason it can't send you all the data you see on a daily basis is because then your conscious mind would get overwhelmed. In other words, it'll go to sleep because it's too much information that your conscious mind would get. So the RAS, the reticular activating system, again, filters out what it's going to send you, and only sends you certain amount of information. Now, that certain amount of information that it sends you, it only sends you 3 things. Things that you need to survive, your dream, things that your dreams and goals. So that's number 2, your dreams and goals. And number 3, your beliefs. So if you don't believe in something in your heart, guess what? That dream could be in front of your face. That $1 million deal can be in front of your face. You won't even see it because you don't believe it, right? So again, I'm going to repeat that again. The reticular part of your brain, its job is to filter out everything it sees and only send you back what you need for survival, your dreams and goals, and your beliefs. All right? So that's why it's so important for you to dream big, right? That's why it's important for you to have huge self-confidence, right? That's why it's important for you to believe. Now, again, what happens? How do you believe? That's the biggest one. Anybody can dream, right? But you have to believe, and the way you believe is you have to keep promises you make to yourself. When you keep promises you make to yourself, then you start to believe in yourself. So I always talk about how when I was 16 years old, I would ditch school. I would leave it around 6 period, and I would drive my butt to Beverly Hills. And I would window shop because I love the fashion. I would look at the women there and fall in love with them. And then I would go to the houses in Hollywood Hills and Beverly Hills, and I literally would drive by these houses and I would say, one day I'm gonna live here, right? I was telling my reticular brain this was my dream, right? I was telling little by little, and you gotta be very specific with these goals. The more specific and the more realistic, the more specific you are with these goals, the more your mind thinks that it's real, right? That's why I was talking to a gentleman this week who said, I wanna, my goal, my purpose is to save some money so I can buy some apartments. He's probably been listening to Grant Cardone. So I said, oh, that's great. Have you gone to look at apartments yet? No. Have you talked to a realtor to find out how much they cost? Have you found out if you want a duplex? Do you want 5 apartments? Do you want 10 apartments? You haven't done anything. What he's waiting to do is save money. So he's waiting to save 50 grand or 100 grand, or he doesn't even know, right? He's waiting to save money to then hopefully go look at apartments. It doesn't work that way. It works the opposite. Before you have the money, you go look for things, right? That's why it's called committing before you get what you want. When I got my first house, I didn't have the money, yet I still went to the open house, and that's where I got my roadmap on how to get it. But I knew what type of house I wanted. I wanted a house in Downey. I wanted a 3-bedroom. I knew it was going to cost me anywhere from $150 to $175. I knew my down payment was going to be this, and I knew that my monthly payment was going to be that. Now, again, that's why it's important for you to have specific dreams about where you want to live. So again, back to when I was 16 years old, I knew that I wanted to live in Hollywood Hills. I knew that I wanted to have a view where I could see the entire city. I knew that I didn't want a house in front of me. I knew that I wanted to be on the edge of the hill. It was that specific. I wanted it to be modern. I wanted every room to have a restroom. I wanted a walk-in closet in every room, so when I wanted to bring people over, they could stay there. I literally had that when I was 16 years old, and I now have it. It's my dream house, right? But I was thinking about it exactly how I wanted it when I was 16 years old. So anyway, when you become obsessed with something, you need it for survival. Does that make sense? So what does your reticular mind does? It gives you, it only filters things that you're upset, that you can survive with. So if you're obsessed about something, you'll get it. You'll survive. Again, your dreams and your beliefs. So now I'm going to tell you, so hopefully that makes sense. The book I sent to you guys, I strongly recommend it because, especially if you have children, this book talks about the habits that you give to your kids and how they pick up all of your habits as a parent. And so, it's going to make you mindful of the way you act and the way you think and the way you talk and things like that. Again, the book is called Change Your Habits, Change Your Life by Tim Corley. Again, it's about 177 average people that then become millionaires, right? Using these, and it talks about this reticular mind that I just talked to you guys about. So now I'm going to get into sort of this no limit formula that I've been telling you guys about. Now, the no limit formula consists of, it's 4 characteristics, right? Number 1 is you have to have faith. You have to believe, right? If you don't believe in something, again, if you don't believe you're worth 100 grand a year, then you're never going to be worth 100 grand a year. So it starts with that. Number 2 is you have to have massive work ethic. Number 3 is you have to have self-discipline. right? You have to do the things that you're supposed to do, even though no one is looking, right? Anybody can do what you're supposed to do when everybody's looking, but what about when no one's looking? Are you going to do the right thing or are you going to do the wrong thing? That's called self-discipline. Number 4 is perseverance. Now, that's not something that you're born with. That's something that you develop, which means you got to fall on your butt a bunch of times and start developing that perseverance. So that's part of the no limit formula. And it's a formula because every part has 4 parts to it. The second part is a set of actions. So the first one I just gave you, those are the characteristics. Now the next one is the set of actions, okay? You have to, number 1 is you have to declare, you have to take action, you have to have, the third part is have, when you declare is your dream, right? I want to have this. And then immediately you got to take action towards that declaration, that dream, because if you don't take action immediately, then it just becomes a thought, right? So again, using the example, I want to own apartments. Well, the immediate action is calling a realtor, even though you don't have the money to set up some viewings of apartments. The other immediate action is, do you want a duplex? Do you want 5? Do you want 10? Do you want 20? Do you want 500 units, right? Now you go meet with the realtor and he gives you a roadmap on the things that you're gonna need. The third part is the have. Have is the date on when you're gonna do it by. So you have this dream that you wanna buy apartments, so you start taking action, and then the have is, when are you gonna have it? Have, I'm gonna have it in 6 months. I'm gonna come up with that $200,000 in 6 months. And then the last part, which is the fourth part, is the integrity part of it. Are you gonna come through on your word? You just told yourself, you just told your mom that this house is gonna be hers in 90 days. Are you a man of integrity? Are you gonna do it? Or is 90 days gonna pass up and you're just gonna be like, oh, I guess I'll do it 6 months from now, and just be like every other guy out here, right? So those are the actions. The next 4 is what I call my 4 pillars. The 4 pillars consist of the spiritual side. So the same way you work on purposes for business, you work on purposes on the spiritual side. You work on purposes on your family side. Then the third part is your fitness and your mind. Every day we're growing our fitness and our mind. And then the fourth part, again, is your business. If you got the first 3 on lock, your business is gonna skyrocket. The minute one of those pillars falls apart, your family starts falling apart, well, guess what? Your business will probably start falling apart. If your relationships start falling apart, your business is probably gonna start falling apart. But again, you have to continue to find purposes on these 4 pillars. Every time you accomplish a purpose, boom, find a new one, find a new one. Because if you don't, remember, in life, nothing stays the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. Your 6-pack is either getting better or it's getting worse. It ain't gonna stay the same. So those are the 4 pillars. Now we're gonna get into the first time that I actually used this formula without even knowing. And then after this, every week, everything I've gotten, I'm gonna share with you exactly how it happened. And you're gonna see it was using exactly this formula. So my first true dream was to have, I was 18 years old, about 18 and a half. No, actually I was 17 years old. And this brand new car came into the market. It was a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse. It was back in '95. And at this point, I think I was 18 years old. I saw this car, I loved it. It was $30,000. And I became like most people. I wanted to have, so I wanted to save the money. So again, one of the things I didn't mention is the formula is become, then take action, and then have, and then the integrity part is the fourth part. Most people have that formula backwards. First, they're trying to have, then they take action, and then they become a Mitsubishi Eclipse owner, right? Hopefully you guys are with me. have, action, become. That's the way 99% of the people think. And that's why 99% of the people aren't millionaires, right? So that's what I was doing when I was 18 years old. I kept trying to save money because I wanted to save for this down payment to go buy my car. And I was so worried about making money and saving money that I would always lose money. I'd always invest in wrong things. People would steal from me, blah, blah, blah. My mom last minute would come and say, Edwin, we need to send money to grandma. And I remember getting upset. We need to send money to your dad. And I remember getting upset because I'm like, man, why am I taking care of everybody? I'm trying to save for this car. And the more I try to save, the more I lose money. So I finally said to myself, I'm not going to ever be able to afford this car. So I end up settling, and I buy a 240 SX, which was more of a like maybe $5,000, $4,000 car. It was nice compared to my old beat up Nissan Sentra that had no shocks. And I'm like, well, I need to make this car sexy. So I spend about $3,000 on rims. The rims actually cost more than the freaking car. And they were 17-inch rims. And I had the rims on for one day. And at the time I had a cell phone that was unlimited. You know, that's when you grow up in HP, you figure out how to get cell phones where you only pay $50 a month and it's unlimited back in 1995. So I'm thinking I'm the coolest guy. I got a system in this car. I'm driving. I park in my car, in my garage, and all of a sudden I have a gun in my head, and it's a gentleman telling me to get out of your car. I want your freaking car. And he didn't say freaking. You could imagine what he said. And I thought it was a joke. I thought it was my friends maybe brought their boys from Compton because they would always go buy weed from our guys in Compton, and this guy's just trying to scare me. And he's like, no, this isn't a freaking joke. Get the F out of your car. And literally, I got the gun in my head. Anyway, I get out of the car. I'm thinking I'm going to get shot. It's over. I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to at least crawl to my house to ask my mom to call the ambulance once he shoots me. Well, luckily for me, he doesn't shoot me, and he takes off. About a week later, I find the car, and it's on whatever you call it. It's on bricks or whatever you want to call it. It's all the wheels are gone. The car's, the interior's gone. And I remember thinking to myself, mother effer, I put all my savings, once again, all my savings is gone because I just put a lot of my savings into my rims and this new car that I had bought. Then to top it off, I go to work that day and I get laid off. And this was from the phone company where I was making now about $800 a week. And I remember driving home that day, and I was really upset. I was upset at my family. I was upset at my dad and my mom. Why was I now having to take care of them? I'm 18 years old. If I could just be me, I'd be living in a nice high-rise by now, but I have to take care of my siblings, and I'm just pissed. And I'm really pissed because I can't afford my car that I've been wanting forever. And as I'm driving, I pass through the Cerritos dealership. There's a Mitsubishi Cerritos dealership, and I passed it, and I remember thinking to myself, I'll never be able to get this car again in my life. Like, this is BS. And then what happens next, which now that I think about it, at the time I didn't know what I was doing. At the time I just thought I had sort of, I thought I had big cojones. And, but really now that I think back at it, it was my reticular brain going to work, because ever since I was 15 years old, I had always told myself, no matter what, I'm worth $100,000 a year. I'm going to make $100,000 a year. So as I'm passing by this Mitsubishi dealership and I tell myself, I'll never be able to get this car, this voice comes to me and says, hey, you've always been great at everything you've done. Somehow, some way, you get to the top. What are you so afraid of? Go get your car. And by you getting this car, it's going to make you not want to collect unemployment. It's going to make you go get a job, and you're going to find a better job than even the one you had. And literally, it was the first time where I wasn't scared, because I knew my ability. And I walked into that Mitsubishi dealership. I came out of there with a $30,000 car and no job. But, so here's the thing. The next week, I start going on job interviews like crazy, and I almost landed a couple big jobs. And then about maybe 9 days later, the old company I worked for calls me back, promotes me, gives me a better position, offers me more money, and I start making about $1,000 a week, and the rest is history. Now I'm gonna break down what happened there. Instead of doing what most people do, which is wait till I had the money, I said, screw it. I became, right? I became the minute my voice told me, you are worth 100 grand a year. No matter what, doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna do very well because you've always done very well. Now at that point, my identity had grown. It's not something you just tell yourself, you have to build that confidence. That confidence came because at 15 years old, I was the youngest kid. By 16, I became supervisor. Now I was 16 and I was managing people that were 40 years old, right? From there, I became a manager I was managing 40 people. At 18, I was managing people that were 40, 50, 60. So I started to believe my identity started rising, right? Now I started to believe. So there I took immediate action. Now, it's probably the only time that I've ever done this where the have was right away. I just went in there and boom, and got it, you know? And that story is very dear to me because that's where it all started. And that's just a little taste of it. I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna go over stories that are gonna blow your mind about how things that seemed impossible all of a sudden became possible just by doing these things. But again, just going back to the reticular mind, I'll give you this last example. I'll use Freddie because Freddie in 2014 declared something that is not a good thing to declare, and hopefully you guys don't declare it. He says, Edwin, I just suck at recruiting. I'm not a good recruiter. I can't recruit anybody. I need you to help me with that. That's literally what came out of his mouth in 2014, right? Now this didn't come out of his mouth, but let's just say he would have said, man, I just can't build teams. I'll never be the #1 office. Now at the time, even though he told me he couldn't recruit, he did declare one thing, that he was gonna be the #1 office. But he actually told me I cannot recruit. So let's just, again, hypothetically let's say that he did both. And he told me, I can't recruit and I can't grow an office. What happens is now, if Freddie and I are in a restaurant and we're eating and there's a guy behind me and the guy behind me is talking about how he is a sales guy and he's been great and he's been working at this company for 10 years and all of a sudden he quit because this company screwed him over and he's looking for a new job. Because Freddie had already told himself he's not a recruiter and he can't build teams, he would have never heard that information. The reason he would have never heard that information is because he doesn't need it for survival, it ain't his dream, and he doesn't believe it. So it could be slapping him in the face. This is how you're gonna become a millionaire. He ain't gonna see it because he's already telling himself he can't. So the reticular mind it's not gonna filter and send that to his conscious mind. Now here's the opposite. I'm sitting down and I'm all about, dude, we're gonna get to 100,000 accounts. I'm the best recruiter. There's no one that could recruit better than I can. Do you guys think I'm gonna hear that conversation? Hell yes. I'm gonna be like, huh? Sales guy. Hold on, Freddie. I need to go talk to this guy, right? That's that piece that I talk to you guys about. And that's why it's so important what we dream of, what your beliefs are, and what you're obsessed with, right? If you're obsessed with something, you're gonna need it for your survival, right? Same reason an alcoholic at 2:30 in the morning, even though all the bars are closed, Somehow he figures out a way to get alcohol because he needs it for survival, right? You could do it you could take these habits in the wrong way, or you can take the habits in the right way. So again, hopefully this makes sense to you guys. I know I went over, but again, I'm very passionate about this stuff because I'm tired of you guys not taking it to the next level. The reason you guys aren't taking it to the next level is because you're not thinking big enough. Your dreams aren't big enough. Your purpose isn't big enough. And if you don't have the right purpose, you ain't gonna get off your ass to go get it. So again, we're gonna send this in an email, watch it again, over and over and over, so it starts getting your head. And I promise you, you will work your butt off. The reason I was able to succeed is because I had big purposes. Those big purposes kept me in the field for 12 hours a day, kept me in the field working 6 days a week for 50 weeks. Not 12 weeks, not 18 weeks, 50 weeks. I would take 2 weeks off, but that's because I had big, big dreams. A lot of you guys talk about having big dreams, but it's all this. Start taking action, guys. All right, guys. The preaching is over. Hopefully you guys get it.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for being on the call. Next Tuesday, same time, same place. We'll see you guys soon.